All right, before we get started today, first and foremost, for everyone watching and listening.
I'm sorry.
That was really good. Why did you mess up?
Wow, Levio, you're such a fucking bully.
He started so strong.
If I could
goddammit.
If I could have hit the mute button, if I had a mute button right here, I would have fucking hit it.
Yeah,
It wouldn't have fucking mattered. All right, before we get into today's episode, first and foremost, for everyone watching and listening, we want to say happy Thanksgiving. And we are eternally grateful for our subscribers, our listeners, our followers on all of our different social media platforms. We are almost at 100 viewers on YouTube, and for us, that is a huge milestone, and we really, from the bottom of our hearts, want to say thank you.
Absolutely.
And with that, we are actually going to be doing a giveaway paired up here with Andrew from Sin City Concealment. You guys want to talk about the giveaway?
Yeah, absolutely, man. We you'll hear we'll talk about it more on the podcast about how we know Andrew, but definitely doing something with a friend of ours is something that we're actually very looking forward to do. We hope you guys stay tuned for it.
Yep. Stay tuned. Gonna have some good companies in on it, and we're happy to be. I'm happy to be here with you guys, and really gonna put y'all some good shit and get you guys some really cool stuff.
All right.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for them.
Yep, absolutely. With that, let's get started.
All right, welcome to episode 6 of the Armored Knowledge Podcast. Today, our guest is our friend Andrew over here. Andrew owns Sin City Concealment. And to be honest, I used to rock G-Code. I used to love my G-Code holster until I started rocking Andrew's holsters.
Well, thank you.
Andrew you can tell the difference in the work that he puts in on his holsters. He's not just pressing stuff and sending it out. And everything fits right. And you can actually customize yours if you want, the sweat guard higher or lower, whatever you want on it. He does all that. But we met Andrew through some family and hit it off great with Andrew. We've done a little bit of work with him, and we still got probably some more content coming up that we'll be doing with him too. But tell us a little bit more about yourself, brother.
Yeah, man. Like I would say one of my first holsters I ever made was actually for Brighton, and it was like a bright red SIG P320 outside the waistband holster.
I still wear it to this day.
Still rock it. Yeah, I see it in all the content they push out.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So I started making holsters about 4 years ago, and I've been in business now for about 3. Making holsters is something that, like, I spent a lot of time perfecting, and I'm always improving and making them better, and kind of working on new ways to do things. Kind of going with the market of the guns too, because I think what a lot of people get stuck in is not really conforming to the market. So you see a lot of guys like rocking like threaded barrels or RMRs, or they want, a wing or a wedge. So I just kind of integrated those a long time ago into my holsters to, go with that market and put out a really good product. Like I said, I've been doing it for a while, and I'm always improving. I spent a lot of time designing before I even put out like a holster that I would be actually proud of to sell. So
you can tell the difference. Like I said, not to repeat myself, but I mean that's obvious in the quality of the work, man. Like anytime anybody asks us, like where to get a good holster, I'm like, I'm not just saying this because he's a friend. This is where you get a holster.
Yeah.
Once you go Sin City Concealment, you don't go back.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I've heard. No, it's just one of those things too. Like, as I'm growing, and this is one of those years that we jumped up in business a lot, and so we're adding new products and everything like that. So, a lot of times I get stuff that I can't do, and it upsets me because I'm like, I wish I could do that, but
right.
Just through machinery and all that, it just takes time, and so it's just kind of one of those things that, as you get bigger, you grow, you expand, you keep moving, finally moving into left-handed, Trevor.
Yeah,
so
here it comes.
Took a while, but
Yeah.
What is this dip holster that I've been seeing?
Oh yeah, so that's one of my newest businesses under the same kind of like thing that I do. It's just a dip holster. It holds your dip, holds your cans of dip.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Would it fit beef jerky?
It does not fit beef jerky.
Oh my god!
Copenhagen only. No, if it's a bunch of other cans too. So it's just something
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, it's it's a baby. I like businesses are babies. You just kind of start and then you kind of figure out what works for you and how to keep it going, keep it growing. And with with like your phones, your iPhone's always in the back of your pocket. You can really much grow a whole business on a cell phone.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So it's just kind of one of those things. If you're putting out good content, pictures, talking to people, and just making feel people like you're actually there for them when they need something, that that helps out a lot. So
now, as a new business owner, what's the hardest thing that you've gone through?
I think one of the hardest things I've gone through is always probably going to be financial.
Yeah.
Finances is one of those things that, you see a lot of people who that's like you see a lot of people who start something, but they can't grow because they don't have the finances to grow.
Yeah.
And do you mean that with the knowledge of how to operate?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, if I if I gave up a part of my business and to an investor or whatnot, I would have grown substantially, but I would have lost a piece of my company.
Right.
So what I did is I was a bartender. I've been a bartender for almost 10 years. And I took all my money from bartending and I pushed it back into my business, to where I could finally get my business where it's paying for itself. And that's one of the hardest things to do is get your business to where it's paying for itself and you're not having to keep putting money into it. But that's why you just never quit. Yeah. I think a lot of people just quit, they give up. But if you have a product and people like it, and you don't quit, you're going to continue to make sales. There's times where I was only making 1 holster, 2 holsters a month, and now we're growing way, way past that.
Right.
So
yeah, you're in stores.
Yeah, I'm in stores. I have 50 holsters that I got to go out today. So this is one of those things that
That's
you just
beautiful,
keep.
man.
Yeah.
It's really important, man. Like right now with everything that we're going through in 2020 and into 2021, from what I'm looking at, in my opinion, small businesses are going to be so needed to whether they're making comebacks or whether it's people finally chasing their dreams, man. And I think a lot of people are going to. I mean, look at us right now. We're sitting here doing what we were talking about doing 2 years ago, and we were comfortable with what we were doing. I know Brighton and I got kind of comfortable working where we were working
because I never thought it would come out of under me.
And
I thought I would be the one
we
to
had these
lead.
ideas.
Yeah, 100%.
And we had these ideas. And we're like, when we start getting this going, make this happen, and we'll create this, and we'll have T-shirts, and people will help get our ideas out there wearing our T-shirts.
Yep.
And I mean, we had designs up, we had the logo ready to go. I mean, it was funny. We were just sharing what the logo looked like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was
when I was
ugly.
playing with it on the internet.
Yeah.
It was just this simple ass logo. And it's so funny to look at that. I sent it to these two on our group chat. Man, it was funny because it's like, wow, that was when we first started talking about this actual name. Because before then, we had been talking about other names because it was this idea. Probably been talking about this for 3 or 4 years, and we weren't doing it. And we don't have any reason why we weren't doing it other than, like I said, I know Brighton and I we just kind of got comfortable with doing pretty good.
Yeah.
With not a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? I know Trevor was in a groove doing the same thing, and we weren't chasing that.
Yeah.
And so as soon as we got to where we're looking at people that we know that run gun stores, you yourself, your guys' experience right now is such an eye opener to what we were wanting to do is more important now than it's ever been. Because there are so many more gun owners, and we talk about this every podcast. I'm not blowing anybody off or annoying anybody with that, but this is why we were just like, shit, what are we doing? And now that we don't have the funds coming in that we had before, that we could have been investing all this money.
Yeah.
So now we're doing this, doing that, whatever we can. I'm like, I got this little bit. Let's buy some shirts with that.
Yeah.
And we're like, Trevor's got this, and I got this, and we're like, we put this together. Like, let's buy some equipment. Okay. And so when we get something come back, we're like, we can't touch it.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be a long. Like we could sell every shirt that we have coming out in this next drop, and we wouldn't touch it.
Nope.
because it's still got so much more growth and so much more that we want to do.
Yeah.
That like there's no, to me, I see it like investing in anything else. If I put money, the money that I've thrown in the stock market, when I put it in that app, I use Robinhood. Yeah. When I upload that money in there, it's gone. I don't worry about it anymore. I don't care if I ever get that money back. I consider that money gone. If it makes money for me, hell yes. But I've already put it in there to be, let's see what happens with it. I've paid for the opportunity. And so that's my investment on that. I feel like no matter what happens here, we're still going to be putting more in, because we believe in what we're doing, and we believe in everything that's coming out of our mouths. And it's not for a profit as much as it's for this just cause that we have together.
100%, man. That's like one of the biggest things is you just got to keep growing, keep pushing, never giving up on it, you know, because you know in your head that if you have something great, other people will see it too. You just got to keep pushing that. Right. And then eventually you'll grow and you'll grow and you'll grow and you look back and be like, oh, wow, we did it, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So. I can't wait to look back at the marketing that we're doing today and laugh at it.
Yeah, see the growth.
Yeah, you're going to see it. It just kind of changes, and it changes every single day. I think one of my biggest things I say is how much a year can change your life. 365 days, it doesn't seem like a long time, but what that year, what changes in that year is really, really insane to me. Like, so... Yeah. Especially with like a year like this where, you know, we started off January 1st. 2020 is going to be the best year ever. Boom. Biggest shit storm ever, man. And you're just, and there's a lot of people scratching their heads like, what are we going to do? But like, it's always good to see people who are like, we're going to do this. We have a plan and we're going to stick to that plan and we're going to make something happen. We're not going to roll over and let this year take us. And that's kind of like, you know, my mentality was too, where I'm like, well, shit, what am I going to do? Oh, I know. I'm going to bust my ass and get this business as high as I can get it and keep growing it from there.
Yeah, a lot of people look at this year and they see it as such a setback, but it's not. You need to look at it for what it is and then look at the opportunities that you have to make it better. We, like you said, we fucked around for 3-4 years thinking that we wanted to do something, but never really putting a whole lot of effort into it. And it wasn't until we actually sat there and was like, wait a minute, we know all these different people that can mentor us, that can get us into the position that we want to be in. Why are we wasting that opportunity?
Yeah.
Use the opportunity, and we've made in the last couple months huge strides.
Yeah, and
compared to where we were.
And that's exactly right. You know, when we were talking about, you were just talking about this year, and anytime I hear where somebody's just kind of like, oh my God, this year is so bad. I'm telling you right now, I've learned so much
this year alone.
Like when, you know, we just started kind of going back to work, and it's not back to work at all. It's not the same at all.
100%.
And the appreciation I have for what we used to have.
Yeah.
Now what we still have, I appreciate more than I ever thought that I would. Like, if you would have told me back in March, this is where we'd be sitting with what we have, I'd have been like, oh, that sucks. Really? But right now I'm looking at it like, this is great, dude. I got so much going for me. And if I ever have what I had before March hit, I know how I'm going to do it differently.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just one of those things where you're kind of sitting there like, it takes over your brain, man. You just keep thinking about it. You keep thinking about ideas. What can you do to grow? And it's like you're not growing something for somebody else. You're not working for anybody else. You're working for yourself, which is one of the biggest things that I think anybody can do is just keep growing for yourself. I mean, I meet people all the time in the industry I was at and the bar I was at. I met tons of people that would sit there and be like, make money on your own. Like, you know, you're making great money now, and it's awesome, but what happens when the money stops? You know, and it did. And you don't think that, and it did, and you're sitting there like, oh shit, what am I going to do now?
And like I said, like you could sit here. I guess what I was trying to say, what I didn't get out was, you can sit here and say like, I don't have anything going for me anymore, because you can sit there and compare it to where you were before March hit. And compared to then, you could easily, I could sit here and go, man, I don't really have much going for me anymore. Like, we had to cut, we cut over $400 a month in like memberships and subscriptions to things that we just had coming out, and narrowed things down. And I never thought we'd do that. Like when we hit March, we were like, oh, it's kind of scary, but we got enough in savings. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then that started dwindling. And we're like, oh shit, this isn't ending. Yeah. Like this isn't
April
going away.
went by, May went by,
June
went by. You're like, fuck.
We got into September and we're just like, okay, so we're living on this now, and like I said, again, I'll go back to what I'm getting at is, it's really easy to say I don't really have much going for me now because you can compare it to somebody else or you compare it to what you used to have. Mm-hmm. But really, if you just stop, just slow down. Just slow down for a minute and look at what you really got, man.
Yep.
Trevor and I used to do some stuff where when we worked with Battlefield and we went out and we're finding homeless people and doing stuff, and you would hear those people talk about how good they have it sometimes. Mm-hmm. It's all perspective, man. Yep. And as soon as you can, no matter where you're at, man, these people would sit there and appreciate what they have, man. They're living in nothing. Mm-hmm. That one guy was on an underpass. And he was just like, yeah, man, look at all this shit I got. Look how, like, this is the best one. Like, it only washes out this often or some shit. What does he say? Like, it only washes out like twice a year. Mm-hmm. Like, we were blown away. Like, you fucking so much appreciation. Yep. But that's where it lies, man. Like, you can sit here and say, like, fuck, I don't, compare yourself to somebody else or to the past or whatever. Look, you have so much going for you no matter who the fuck you are.
Yeah. No, 100%, man. That's definitely one of those things that you have to be appreciative of what you have right now today, because there's always other people out there that don't have as much or are losing a lot. Yeah, and you're just like, oh, yeah, shit, man.
But it's like muscle memory too, man. And I've seen it, and I read it because I read a lot, whether it's on just like self-help stuff, business stuff, and you read about examples constantly where people who have what you would consider made it. Mm-hmm. And lose it, make it again. It's like muscle memory. Like if you go to the gym and you work out and you get yourself to a certain fit, right? A certain maybe size or a certain strength, and you don't go to the gym for 3 months. Well, there's some atrophy, right? Mm-hmm. But it's so much easier to get to it the second time than it was the first time you got to it. It could have taken you 5 years to get there, where it would just take you a couple months to get back to it.
Yeah.
Where I think it's the same thing, and it's your mentality. Where you already know what that place is. Yep. You've already been there. You have that muscle memory, your brain muscle memory on what it took to get there. You get there faster the second time, even if, there's so many examples of people that lost everything mm-hmm. and came back stronger than ever before, way faster than they did the first time.
Well, I mean, shit like that. This shit like this humbles you too. Yeah, absolutely. I think it kind of goes back to what you're saying, where we're all making this, and we're like, damn, like this is a good life we're living. Yeah. And then we got humbled real quick, and in a matter of 9 months, we were sitting there like, whoa. But it's just kind of one of those things where you either make it or break it. Yeah, you don't roll over. You just keep moving forward. You keep pushing. You come
no
up
matter
with
what.
ideas, no matter what. So it's just kind of one of those things.
And that's what we see too. Is I think part of that. The recovery, people's recoveries tend to be stronger than their first making it. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of that has to do with when you get to that certain spot, man, when you've lost that much, you're not scared of failing anymore. No. There's no fear in failing. And once you learn and once you realize that when you throw down and it fails, pick up all that you can learn from that. And now you've grown. Mm-hmm. You learn more from a loss than you do from a win. Yep. In a fight, in a business, in anything, you'll learn more from losing and failing than you will ever learn from winning all the time.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking of the outcomes of this pandemic, I know there was a big rise in new gun owners. Mm-hmm. Have your holster sales gone up quite a bit, or?
Yes, substantially, like a lot. It's just kind of one of those things that, once we started seeing the record numbers of handgun sales going, we started selling so many holsters. I mean, it was kind of one of those pipe dreams I used to have, like, oh, I wish I could sell this much holsters a week, to I wish I could, like, I don't know how I'm going to sell it. Like, keep up with the numbers, man. So, so it was definitely one of those things, because we make concealed holsters. That's like mainly what we do right now. Obviously we're growing, but we make inside the waistband concealed holsters. So with the new handguns, all the CCWs going out, we definitely get a lot of business, across the states, which is really awesome.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense, man.
Yeah, it's awesome.
How much out of state do you get?
We do actually. I would say it's roughly around a 50-50.
Really?
Yeah,
Hell
yeah, yeah, and
That's
that's
very cool.
that's thankful from just Instagram,
Yeah.
Instagram,
It's the
Facebook.
best marketing tool. In this day and
100%.
age.
You know, there. I don't know if you guys listen ever to like Gary V.
Yeah.
You know, I listen to him a lot. You know, he says your biggest tool is right here. It's in your hand, and what you can do with that is pretty much endless. So, I mean, being a gun company, some of those companies kind of frown upon that kind of stuff. So, we went into a big shadow ban, and they shadow ban a lot of gun
Yeah.
companies, which is kind of rough. But as if you just keep posting and pushing stuff out there, you're gonna get some traction. You know,
You work a little bit harder. Than,
you work a little bit harder,
than
but
if you were just selling
Yep.
makeup or something.
Hey man, I watch some of these makeup people. I'm like, man, I should start selling some makeup.
No, seriously, they make great money.
I'm just a huge, fan of business. I think business is one of those things where I just love watching people do it, and no matter what they're selling, it's kind of funny. I give this to my girlfriend. She showed me this guy named Jeffree Star.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know it sounds
Oh, you're
weird,
talking
like
about makeup.
Yeah, makeup,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But he sells so much makeup, and
Yeah,
it's
bro.
ridiculous, and his business mindset is awesome. So it's just like
His lipstick is upwards of $22. Think about
just
that.
like stuff like that, where like he took something and it just expanded it, and
Yeah.
that's like anybody and any like I know I'm a gun guy. I'm sitting here but I'm like I applaud people who can do any kind of business
Absolutely.
like that.
I
and
mean,
it's awesome.
that guy, I don't know a lot about Jeffree Star, but I bet you that guy was into makeup at a young age, and became passionate about it, and is brilliant.
Oh, brilliant
at
mindset.
putting that makeup to work, man.
Yeah.
And you'll see there's a true
Did you hear it?
yeah. Oh yeah, you're sharing.
That's so disgusting. I tried to duck down on the phone.
But she's drinking a straw, and it came across for everybody to hear.
I'm really sorry.
So
you leave your brush your beard against.
distract everybody. So, yeah, I mean, you see, like that's just
That is one of those
what you're getting at.
examples. Yeah,
It's like chasing that. Like, you're good at it. You understand the product. You understand what it is and how to make it better, and fucking went for it.
yeah, and that's like you gotta applaud those people. But yeah, so back to the gun thing. Yeah, I totally have seen a huge number jump in my business, and I'm not like saying I'm not like I look at myself as successful because of what I've gained and what I've worked for. I'm there's always room to grow, but with all this going on, I'm really happy where I'm at right now today.
Well, success is all a mindset anyway.
Exactly.
Everyone defines success in their own way. I can look like my brother is a great example. I think he's extremely successful. He runs a t-shirt printing business. Like that's it. He's not a
He's
doctor.
busy every
He's
day.
not, he's not a dentist. He's not pulling in 6 figures a year, but he is his own business owner. He has his own retail shop. He is, like Livio said, he's busy every day. We go to the shop at least once every couple weeks, and to me, he is extremely successful.
I bet he's happy too.
Well,
Yeah,
Like you said, that's everybody has their own definition.
Yeah, in his mind, it may not be where he wants to be.
Yeah.
But I mean, and from my point of view, looking inwards, I mean,
Well,
that's,
and you've watched him.
Yeah.
You watched him go from working for somebody to throwing it all out there.
dude, I watched him go from his garage, printing shirts.
But I mean,
to
he
where
put it
is
all
now.
on the line
Yeah.
and went for it.
Yeah, 100%.
Just like what we're talking about, man. He threw it out there and went, and there was nothing going to stop him. I mean, that's to me what I think what you're trying to get at is that's where the success is. Is he set his mind to it, and nothing, no matter what got in his way, he turned those walls into speed bumps, and he got where he was going.
you just got to go through that wall, man. Boom, just straight through it, and you keep moving.
And that's one thing we've always talked about too. Is like we hit something, and we'll remind each other all the time. Like when we'll hit a wall, and be like, you turn that wall into a speed bump, man. That's all it is.
Just gotta go
It's
straight
not
through it.
It looks like a wall from here,
Yeah.
but when you look back at it, it was just a speed bump. Man.
It's stressful too. Like I think one thing it's stressful. It's a very stressful experience to get through this. And there's some days you're like, man, this is rough. There's a lot going on. We're sitting, but like you said, if you just kind of get through that and you get through that stress, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be okay.
And you'll find a way to appreciate it, or you should. I mean, that's the whole point. To me, that's why we face contrast with everything that we go through. No matter how good you got it, no matter how much you have, you're going to find contrast in your life, and you have to find a way to make that contrast into a learning experience or into something that helped you grow.
Yep, 100%.
I like seeing with these businesses, you were talking about being big on business. I get excited when I watch somebody innovate. Mm-hmm. When I watch somebody change their structure of their business and stay with their cause, why they're doing what they're doing, but they change everything to stay with that cause, but keep up with the evolving culture or whatever it may be.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you saw, I think Amazon is one of the most innovative things I've ever seen in my life, because if you look at what happened to Sears Roebuck, right? They were the Amazon in their prime. There was no way, if you went back to their prime and told somebody they're going to be obsolete in another couple decades, they're going to be gone. Like, no, nobody would believe you. There's no way. That's like somebody telling you today, like, Amazon's going to be obsolete in a couple months or in a couple decades. You're like, yeah, no way.
Yeah.
But it's because they knew that they were the pinnacle of retail. They knew that where they were was strong and what it was. And as times changed and as the culture changed, they didn't.
Yeah, you have to evolve.
They didn't find innovation in that, and they lost track of their cause and what it was why they're doing what they're doing, and they try to focus on that bottom line and change things and move things around, but it wasn't to keep that cause moving forward, to keep up with things, and they didn't innovate. And Amazon started as they just sold books online, man.
Yeah, that guy is one of the, like, you look at that guy and you're like, what the hell? You went from selling books. He got I think it was like $250,000 from his parents, and then he just took that and just kept growing and growing. He's on track to be the first trillionaire ever.
Yeah, on his own. Yeah.
On his own.
Not business trillionaire, but
so much
himself.
innovation.
Because he had hundreds of billions of dollars. Like, as much as, like, there's things about Bezos that I don't like using him as an example, because there's the way that he does conduct himself sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good example sometimes, because there comes a point where, like, when you're that big and you're moving forward that fast and you're just nonstop growing, you have innovation, every year there's something changing in your business, and it's making things easier on everybody, and it's making your business grow. There's certain things that I just find, for me, there's some ethical fading that goes on within this company and within his design because he tried to do, there was one point he tried to do where, say, if you went on there to buy some Energizer batteries on Amazon, he tried this and it failed. I'm sure it would have worked fine, but there was enough complaints about it where they dropped it. They gave it a trial run. Say you're buying a name brand battery, Energizer batteries. The Amazon product battery would pop up, like a full pop-up that you would have to close in order to continue on to buy that product. And it's things like that you see that company still kind of does.
Yeah. And
they still kind of slowly are building back up to that in a slow way. To me, I feel like there's a size that you get to that maybe that's where the ethical fading comes in.
Yeah, it's one of those things too where, like, I get with you, like, on the, like, he's a good example. He's a great example. And he's also one of those guys that his net worth increased $70 billion since the beginning of this pandemic, where we lost 167,000 small businesses.
Yeah. And no doubt he does. I mean, that guy donates like crazy. I couldn't tell you the numbers.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's upwards of $1 billion that he donates to causes here and there.
Yeah.
Which is better, I believe. I mean,
better than nothing.
Yeah. And to me, I know that there's a lot of taxes he's getting out on, but to me, I feel like as an American, that's up to him to decide where that money goes.
It's his money,
instead of it being taxed out of his ass. If he's putting it out there and it comes out of his taxes, to me, I don't understand how people get so mad at people for being successful.
Yeah,
and for
that's like I actually have that argument all the time where it's like everyone talks about the top 1%, the top 1%, the top 1%. I'm like, why are we always talking about them? Why can't you do that? What is stopping you from getting there? Like with this whole new tax plan that we might get into, it's $400,000 a year. I'm like, that is a lot of money, but it's also not a lot of money to a small business that has to has employees.
That doesn't all go home.
Yeah, it doesn't all go home. Payroll taxes, all this. There's so much more that goes into that. So I think people should stop looking at just a number and actually look what's like beneath that number, what it takes to actually get there.
Yeah.
And that's what really like pisses me off about a lot of people right now. I'm just like, ooh.
Yeah, and it does get frustrating, but it's just a lack of understanding of that side of things. You know, it's that there's a perception of, I mean, I guess there's an ignorance that has to go with that perception as well of understanding, you know, where that money is. Just because a business is worth $1 billion, it doesn't mean that the man up top can spend $1 billion right now.
Yeah.
He might have $100,000 that he can throw around right now. You never know.
Well, that's why what Elon Musk, because he's broke all the time.
Yeah.
He's got so much money in his companies. He's like,
Right.
I can't, I don't make no money.
See, and that would be, I mean, I probably should have used him as an example for innovating and moving forward and growing.
He's a smart guy.
And everything that guy does, he finds a way for it to help the world,
Yeah.
for have a positive impact somewhere.
Yeah, he's definitely got some good stuff going on.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
the guy literally made flamethrowers and sold out in an hour, like just because he could. You know, he doesn't care. He does what he wants. It's
man.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, he reminds me like what was it, like a year or so last year, watching the SEC go after him and all these other, you know, big businesses go after him because I was watching him in training and shit, and everybody hated him. They couldn't stand. I mean, because he didn't play by the rules. I mean, he didn't follow along. He said what he wanted to, and they tried to go after him about things that he wasn't breaking news.
Yeah.
But they acted like he was because they didn't like. He reminds me of Caddyshack. You know, he walks around dressed however he wants to.
Yeah.
He's got just as much money as everybody else, but he don't act like they do, so they all hate him.
Yeah.
But he still does whatever the hell he wants, and he's still happy as shit.
Yeah.
And that's why every time I see him, man, he just reminds me of Caddyshack.
Yeah, he's a funny guy, man. I mean, I like watching him. I think his Joe Rogan podcast was hilarious. Everyone was like,
saw
"Oh,
it.
he smoked weed." I'm like,
He didn't though.
"Yeah, I know." He just
You
hit
watch
it.
it? I don't even think he fucking inhaled.
It's good.
If you watch it, man, he's just like,
Yeah, it's
got
just
a
one of those
mouthful.
things. I think everyone should be inspired to be, you know, be successful no matter what you're doing. Like I think it kind of always goes back to what people are doing and what you can sell, and you know that's why you got 16-year-old kids who are drop shipping, making $50,000 a month because they just push for it. They want to, make something happen.
well, they know they have an idea, man. There's an inspiration there.
Yeah,
And
100%.
they're chasing inspiration. They're not forcing it.
Yep.
Because there's a difference from in my experience in watching people. There's a difference between trying to force an idea and letting the inspiration come to you. And it's what you know, I think we remind each other of all the time. You know, when we want to put something out, and instead of we'll catch ourselves kind of like trying to force an idea of what we're going to put out next, instead of just like, whoa, wait, let's get inspired to it, because that's where the quality comes from. If we try to force something out, nobody wants to see that shit.
Yeah, I got pretty bad ADD, so like my head is always running. I think that's like a lot. Like
Yeah.
I'm always like, all right, well, I'm gonna do this, and this, and this, and this, and then my wife would be like, just do what you're good at right now, and then we'll work on that later. No, we love the drive, but like just chill out right now,
Yeah.
make some damn holsters,
Write it
all right,
down,
put some
Andrew.
good stuff. Yeah, I'll write it down.
Write it down.
Yeah, but it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, you're right. I mean, let me get back to what I know, because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make an app. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do. And I'm like, okay, let me just backtrack. This is what I know. This is what I love to do. I'm gonna keep doing this.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too, is like when you do have an idea, you got to write it down.
Yeah.
And you got to do something towards it right then and there. When I have an idea about a video that we want to do, I smash it in a text and send it to these two.
Yeah.
And then I star that shit so I know how to go back to it. But if I don't do that, it's gone forever, man.
Yeah, and it's like in the abyss of your back of your mind. You'll be
Right.
sleeping one day and be like, oh,
Yeah. No, man, I'll wake up. I'll be like, I'll wake up, like I'll fall asleep watching a movie or something, go and lay down in bed. And before I fall asleep, I'm like just getting to sleep, and I'll be like, bing. Oh shit. And I go grab my phone and gotta like text it to Trevor and like set it for like, don't send it to him till like 11 in the morning. Cool.
oh man, your phone could do that. That's pretty badass.
I know. I can do that.
That's
You
pretty
can-
sick.
Oh yeah. You got an Apple or what?
Yeah, man, I got an
Oh,
Apple. Yeah, I went to the dark side, man. I was definitely a learning curve, but it's one of those things too. I'm like, yeah, everyone's got one.
I tried it, man. I tried doing Apple for a little bit, man. I being so used to it. I mean, it goes both ways. There's so much freedom.
Oh yeah, on Android you can do so much, man. It's just one of those things. But
Yeah, I mean, either way, you're looking at, that's another example of look at what Apple became in, and they had their ups and downs. And you can watch Apple, man, and this is stuff that I've read on too. When they've had their rough spots, it's because they weren't chasing that cause, that reason for why that all started, and they started. You can watch it. But Walmart did the same thing. As soon as they start focusing on that bottom line,
yeah,
Walmart went through a phase where everybody hated Walmart. They started out as that's the thing. That's the business that everybody wanted to come to their little town, and then it turned into keep that shit out of my little town. And where that was happening is if you watch who took over as CEO and the changes in the ideas of what they spoke about when they talked about in order of what was important, it went from the people to the numbers back to the people, and now it's a big beautiful company again.
Yeah, that's definitely
Same with Apple.
Apple, Walmart. They're all like, they're just. I like watching them. I like to see how they do things because it kind of goes back to the innovation thing, right? So I think Walmart's biggest competitor is Amazon.
Absolutely.
So they had to learn how to adapt to what Amazon was doing. Yeah. So now they have, like, you go on Walmart.com and be like, oh, ship to your house the same day.
The online sales, all that different stuff.
And the coming and picking up thing is good too.
Yeah.
It's huge. And that's why, like, you see the, like Home Depot and Lowe's, they do the you can hold that for me. I'm coming to get it.
Yeah.
That stuff. And honestly, man, I don't know. Maybe I'm just old school, but I like that shit.
Home Depot or Lowe's, what do you pick?
Okay, so that's
it depends on what I'm getting.
So here's the thing: is if it's plumbing and I know exactly what I need and how to do it, I go to Home Depot to save a few bucks. If I'm not sure about it, if I need help, maybe getting the right part, I go to Lowe's.
All right, yeah, I'm kind of like I was a Home Depot guy for so long, then I moved right next to a Lowe's, and I could walk into a Lowe's and be like, I know exactly where this is at. I'm going to get it. Like, so I was like, oh man,
I don't know. I feel like Lowe's is like Target as Home Depot is to Walmart.
Oh, that's a good
That's
one.
similar, yeah. And
Because
like
it's
I said,
not bad, but I can go somewhere else for better quality.
Well, that's
and
the thing
looks.
is like the difference with Target and Walmart is with Walmart, you're paying a little less, but you're putting up with the people that you're shopping with. You're putting up with things not being where they should be on the shelf sometimes. You're putting up,
Home Depot.
you know what I mean? They're you're putting up with that. You go to Target, you pay a little bit more, you get some customer service. Things are a little bit prettier.
Yeah, I mean, Target has you set up where, man,
you go in there for one thing, you're leaving with 50.
100%. You take your girl there, she's gonna be there for about an hour and a half.
We did pretty good today, man. I'm
when they
surprised.
ask you at the end, did you get everything you need today? No, I got more than.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
I got this dress. I got some gumballs. I'm like, I came here for toilet paper.
I don't even know how I got here.
Yeah, exactly. Why am I in this part of the store? This is weird.
Yeah, man.
I just came for the popcorn.
Yeah,
I have
100%.
6 different pour strips.
Yeah.
I don't know.
100%. Yeah. You get lost in that store, man.
What is it? We were talking about something before this started, man, that we wanted to talk about. You remember what that was?
Leather versus
Yeah, the
holster.
importance of having a good holster, not a
Horster.
Holster. Holster.
Let's talk about holsters.
Holsters. All right, let's talk about it.
Don't feel bad. We make up so many words on this thing.
Well, here's my thing, man. Like I'm sitting here and I'm like in the back of my head, I ramble. Like, so I'll just keep rambling on and I go into the abyss of what were we talking about again?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Dude, that's why when we had Kit on last time, I was like, thank God somebody else is going to talk more than me.
Yeah, man. I can just chat and I can go anywhere you want to go, man. I'll take you there. But all right. So important to holsters, man. It is kind of one of those things that your holster is pretty much a part of your gun. You need a good holster for your safety. If you're holstered, you need a holster that's going to run and do its job, and not, it's potentially life-saving too. You get a holster that, you have to draw or anything like that, and holster comes apart, or you don't get a clear purchase because it sits too low or it's too high or whatnot. If it's not made of good material, if it's just somebody put a piece of Kydex, bended it together, and you can't even get your gun out of it because it's so tight. It's so important to have a good quality holster. Like I said, I don't do everything, but there's a lot of companies, really good holster companies that make really good holsters also, that I would always put like, well, I know I can't do it, so you need to go over here and order from them because they can, and that's something that I would trust with my
that's
life
solid
too.
man. I like that you do that.
Yeah, that's it, because you need to have a good solid holster. It's something that's made correctly, that you can trust with your life, because
some people are just so scared to do that.
Yeah.
As a business owner or as somebody that's trying to promote, like they're so scared to send somebody somewhere else. Mm-hmm. But I've always been a huge proponent of that. Like even when we talked to, when we first started talking to some of our friends that are kind of big in like veteran content world, when we first started actually meeting those guys and doing work with those guys, they would say the same thing all the time. Like they work with companies doing the exact same thing, making money on the exact same thing, because them supporting each other, they all grow together.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, it kind of is one of those things that you got to support other companies, and other companies will support you. And like I said, it just kind of goes back to that. It's a part of your gun. It is a part of your gun, and you're not gonna, leave your house with a gun that's super dirty or anything like that. You just got to make sure that you take care of it. You're adjusting your hardware. You're making sure that everything is. You got to make sure that all your tools are work correctly. And
you got to make sure that retention is right.
Yeah, make sure that retention is right. Make sure your screws are tightened down. Yeah. Make sure the Kydex looks good and stuff. So it's just all about good quality work. And like you were saying earlier that we were talking about that picture of that leather holster that bind it up and shut the guy in the ass.
Yeah, that's what there's certain guns and there's certain ways to carry like maybe certain revolvers or whatever where leather holsters are just fine.
Yeah.
But to carry like an inside the waistband semi-auto 5-pound trigger, a leather holster is not a good idea, man. I mean, I'm not talking about what they call half breeds.
Yeah.
Where the leather's against your skin and the Kydex is on there. For one reason, not just the safety of it, but if you do have to draw, if God forbid you have to pull and use your gun, you want to hopefully be able to put it back one-handed.
Yeah.
And so if with the leather holster that collapses, or you're gonna have to use both hands, whatever. That's just one of the small reasons.
It's kind of like a one-time use thing. You pull it out, then you have to readjust it to get it back in there. Yeah,
but the biggest reason for safety and what you're mentioning is leathers. It's not as rigid as say like a Kydex, where the same reason that it kind of folds in. There's a picture that maybe Trevor can put it up. If you guys are watching this podcast, maybe we can put the picture up. I'll send it to Trevor and see where it's at. There's just one example, one of many examples where the leather will start to curl itself at the top. So if you have the part of the holster where it would kind of come to a point to guard where it's supposed to, after a while, after using it a lot, that part is going to start to curl. And it's more than likely going to start to curl inward. Well, the picture that we have is of somebody who pushed their gun into their holster, and that curl got underneath that trigger, and they shot a hole through and through one of their butt cheeks.
Yeah, right through the butt cheek.
But it's not. I mean, that's just one of the many reasons. Like, that's just one of the many examples. Like that the leather holsters. I'm not saying that outside the waistband revolvers. There's whatever.
I think I could
there's some pretty cool like leather holsters that I've seen.
There's some really cool ones. There's still guys that are doing leather, and there's some really awesome stuff. But why do you look at a lot of leather companies that are switching over to more of a high, a plastic, like an
inner frame,
like a Kydex or something that doesn't do that? Is because they know that that's where also the market's going, and it's safer.
Yeah,
it's kind of one of those things that
wear and tear is not there.
Yeah, leather holsters. I mean, like I said, I have nothing against them. I'll never make a leather holster, but I mean, it's still one of those things that I just think that there's that safety thing there. And so, I mean, like you said, it starts getting wet, starts curling, it's going to start binding. And then next thing you know, you're going to shoot a hole in your butt cheek.
Like through and through butt cheek.
Yeah.
Have you experimented with anything other than Kydex?
So plastic wise, no. I've experienced with different types of Kydex. There's multiple kinds of Kydex. There's Holstex, there's Bolteron, there's Kydex. There's another company that I tried I didn't really like. There's that clear stuff that you guys see. Ever seen those clear holsters?
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I saw that video you did where you were stomping the shit out of all these different holsters. And as soon as you get to the clear one, it just smashes.
Yeah. So I get a lot of I had a lot of requests. So I made a clear holster. It was like 3 years ago, and it broke. Like it didn't just break. It like shattered like glass.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's not good. So I ripped, I ripped it off the website. I said, I'll never sell this again.
Yeah.
So I started getting a lot of requests for this clear holster. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to buy some clear. I'm going to make a video and I'm going to show you guys why I don't sell it. So I lined up like a bunch of holsters and they're all pre-made and I stomped the hell out of them. And the first stomp I did, and none of them broke. They all held shape. They all, they were a little beat up, but they were still fine. You could still run them.
Hell yeah.
Man, I stomped that clear holster, boom, broke in half, So there's like that's one thing that I won't like plastic and stuff like that. I won't mess with. I mean, if I ever there's injection molding now, pretty much it's another form of plastic. You just have a pre-mold and it shoots out holsters left and right.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good product. Very expensive. So I love Kydex. There's tons of people are running Kydex. Tons of gun guys running Kydex everywhere. It's law enforcement. Yeah. It's trusted. It's true. You know, I'm not saying Kydex never breaks. It does break. There is over time. I've seen holsters crack. I've seen holsters break.
Mine is doing just fine.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's been about 3 years.
I know. And
maybe almost 4.
That's almost 4. Yeah. So there is going to be somewhere. It is plastic. You know, I'm not saying it's. I've only seen it twice since I've been making holsters break. You know, but I warranty all my stuff. If anything ever breaks, like there's a crack, anything, send it back. I'm going to make you a new one. Send you a brand new one right out. You know,
solid, man.
So I'll take care of people like that. So.
No, you've always taken care of our guys too, man.
Oh yeah.
Anytime somebody has anything, there's always a good response, man.
Yeah, I want to take care of people. You know. I think the biggest thing is like you got to respond. You got to take care of people. And I've gone through my ups and downs where it's like oh shit, I didn't write that person back on Instagram, and it's been like a month or two. I'm like, and I actually feel like genuinely bad about it, because I feel like that's a part of me that was like, you messed up. That's almost a customer loss that you didn't respond back to. So that's the part that makes me feel bad when I do that kind of stuff. But it's just kind of one of those things.
I mean, you're taking it. I mean, I guess the way you should.
Yeah. I feel bad. I'm not like whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't sleep. I gotta write back 71659. It's just trap house.
Joe Smo.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't know anybody by names. I'll run into people like, hey man, I got your holster, and I'm like, oh, what's your name, man? And they tell me their name, and I'm like, oh,
what was your Instagram name?
Yeah, what's your Instagram name? They're like, oh, this is it. I'm like, oh, what's going on, man?
Yeah, I know exactly who you are. Yeah. You get the puppy dog as your main picture.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things, man. I'm like, hey, I know who you are.
Sometimes funny, Instagram messes up your DMs and stuff.
It does.
And I'll have some message requests hidden deep.
Mm-hmm. They actually went through and deleted some of my messages.
Really?
Like gone. And the only reason I actually know that because somebody re-messaged me and then it popped up because I'm like,
and then you see their old one loading with it, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, what the hell happened here?
Yeah, people come up to me and I'm like, I had no idea you messaged me. Mm-hmm. I'm not that cool. I don't need to be saying stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is funny how you get to know somebody by their what IG handle.
Yeah, their handle. Hey, what's your handle? That's what that's how you're shaking hand. What's your handle, man? Oh god.
We're all profiles. We're not people.
Yeah, I know. Oh man, but it works, you know.
It does. It really does.
We could do a whole nother podcast on that.
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's just kind of one of those things, but good products, you know, good quality Kydex. You can get some shit Kydex. You can you can overcook Kydex. You can, there's a lot of process that goes into making a really good holster. Yeah. And it's kind of one of those things that, if you overcook it, if you over drill it, if you have huge there could be gashes in it that's going to scratch a gun or whatnot like that. You don't want any of that, so you just got to make sure it's perfect every time. You know?
Man, that's
and
good.
You do all of the work yourself in the assembly line, huh?
I make every holster. Other than that, I have one employee that works with me sometimes, but I make every holster that goes out the door.
Isn't that satisfying?
That's awesome.
Yeah. It is very satisfying. It is very, very satisfying. Sometimes it's I love it. I'll be working 8-hour days. Sometimes I work 5-hour days. Just kind of one of those things. How fast I can push them out, or the quality I can push them out to. I think I did a video one time where I dumped it was probably around 100 holsters in the trash can, and they were just ones that I would make. Oh, I don't like this one. Toss it, redo it. Oh, I don't like this one. Toss it, redo it. And that still happens to this day. If I don't like the way my holsters are forming that day for some reason, if I'm not getting enough vacuum, I toss them.
Yeah,
I want really crisp holsters every time.
You can tell, man. I said, I've already said it twice on this podcast. Like there's you can tell with your products, man. Any of my guys that run your stuff, anything we've ever gotten from you, man, you can tell that you're meticulous about what comes out of you.
Oh yeah, super. I mean, I got a lot of people that they like my products, they keep buying from me, and that's like the biggest reward that you can get for somebody is just they come back.
That return customer.
And your product is very consistent.
Exactly, and that's what it came from, the consistencies, and that's why I didn't kind of go ham and was like, oh, I'm going to do 350 guns. No, I'm like, all right, I'll start with 10.
Yeah,
and I grew, and then I grew and I grew, and now I'm like by probably in the next couple months I have over 60 different firearms that I offer holsters for, as well as some M4 mag carriers.
I remember when it was just a handful.
Yeah, it was literally. I started with 3, and then it's like it just keeps growing, and I got a good machine shop now that really helps me out. Some good CAD guys, so we just keep growing and pushing out stuff. So
hell yeah,
is Glock 19 still your most popular form?
110%.
Yeah.
Like I was,
makes sense.
I went to a couple of different shops today and talked to them about get some orders in, and from all the holsters, there was about 30 Glock 19 holsters that I needed, they ordered, because that is what's
That's so funny.
most popular handgun in the entire world.
Yep.
It's
There's
just
a reason for it.
Yeah,
man.
it's
As
tried
far
and
as I'm
true.
concerned.
Tried and true. I've been carrying one for 6 years now.
Yeah.
So, and I love it. I mean, it's gone through its fair share of shitty stipple work that I did to it. So, but I still love it. I still carry it, and it's doing great. So.
I don't know if we've covered this before, but that, I remember when I was younger and I didn't really know any better, I ran a 45 in a Glock. I bought a larger caliber just because it fit my hand better.
Yeah.
And I liked the Glock, and I liked, the other benefits of having a Glock. So I ran a 45 just because the frame's bigger and it fit my hand. Because when I was running like a 19 or a 17, I had a little bit of a gap there, and I was watching kind of my rounds hitting a little bit left.
Yeah.
And as I matured, I guess, I've learned that I spend more time on that gun and how I hold it. Or I found my spot with a 19, and same with a 17. I found my spot with it to where, as much as say like a SIG is more ergonomic and it feels very comfortable in the hand, and you can name a couple other guns like how they feel and how they run. They might be smoother, whatever. I'm so much more faster and accurate on that 19.
Yep.
Because I know the point of aim.
Do you still have that 10 millimeter?
I do.
Ugly Betty, is that what you call it?
Ugly Betty.
Ugly Betty.
Yeah. Oh, that's an old Gen 2 Glock 20. 10 mil, man. Yeah, that thing.
That's the only thing you can find ammo for.
Oh, fuck,
Yeah,
man.
right now.
Sorry, we only got 10 millimeter. Lily was like, dope, I got it.
Send it. So, yeah, man, that thing, when we first got it, I mean, it was already ugly. Because, Gen 2, it wasn't.
There was nothing to it. No rail. There was just a piece of plastic.
Just a big, clunky fucker, man. But I mean, that round's a beautiful round, to be fair. That's a hell of a round. And the one reason that I liked having it when we worked at the machine gun range is because I always had in my head, like, if somebody's going to plan on coming in here to do something like at the end of the night or when we're closing or whatever, they're probably trying to wear plates. They're probably, you know what I mean? Like, I always imagine it'd be like some people from down south trying to come up and get guns, or somebody from like some militia types from freaking Pahrump or something. You know what I mean? Like
we're coming down. We're going down to the mountain, boys. Let's go.
But because anytime we've had these like scares of the economic collapse and shit. There's a rip in the social fabric. You're always expecting somebody to pop off. Yeah. But we never expected anything like that. But I always thought, like, if that shit ever did happen, at least this 10 mil would be like taking a sledgehammer to the chest. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
At least it'll make room for me to go grab a rifle or whatever.
Somebody grab Ugly Betty.
Yeah. Man, the story about how we got that name is pretty funny, man, because it was Ugly Baby.
Oh.
When I first got that gun, it was Ugly Baby. And when I was working at Battlefield Vegas, everybody was still calling it Ugly Baby. And then we put one of my guys was doing, what was he doing? Was it Duracoat?
Yeah.
Instead of Cerakote,
Cerakote, yeah.
He was doing Duracoat, and he was cooking Duracoat, right? Yeah. And so I was like, hey, make fucking Ugly Baby. Let's turn her freaking OD green. So we made it OD green, made it even prettier. And anyway, so everybody got used to, it was a famous little gun at the range. A little gun.
And thing's massive, bro.
And
got a hunted bear.
So 7 years ago. Yeah. 7 years ago, my daughter was just born, right? And she's only a couple months old. Well, the owner, Carla's not one to tussle with. Yeah. And if she sparks off, everybody responds, right? She walked in. I don't know if it was in like the lunch like people were taking a break in the break area or whatever, but she just happened to walk in when somebody was talking about Libio's ugly baby. she came fucking unglued, dude.
Oh shit!
And so, because she loves Kenzie May, she loves my daughter to death. And so when Kenzie May was only a couple months old, and she's like, she came unglued. They're like, no, we're talking about the. So we changed. That's how it went from. That's how it got the name Ugly Betty. Because it was ugly baby until there was a miscommunication in there.
Yeah.
And then it was like, no, never call that ugly baby again.
No, we're just gonna leave that back there.
Yep.
Your new name is now Ugly Betty, and
then
there's some Betty's gonna be listening and be like,
we put a compensator on that fucking thing. We put extended magazines on that fucking thing. I mean,
it shoots
stippled
fucking
the shit
flat
out of
as
it.
fuck.
Oh, yeah.
I bet, man.
I've actually had to replace the chamber started, the chamber started wearing out, man. I put a new barrel in. That's why it has a compensator on it now, because I had to get a barrel. I might as well get a threaded one.
I think if you came back as a gun in your next life, you would definitely be like a 10mm clock
with a compensator.
Or an HKG3. I see either.
I'd be like a friggin' Ruger SR22. Like, so.
Shut the fuck up. Nah.
A Hellcat.
Yeah. Oh, I just got that gun too, man. I got one. Yeah.
You like it?
I haven't shot it yet. It's cool. I mean, I love the P365. I think what P365 is one of the best guns I've ever shot. It's absolutely incredible. I'm a huge Glock fanboy, always have been, always will be. So I got the 43X. But when I shot the P365, I was like, man, this thing is amazing. I love shooting it. I haven't shot the Hellcat, so I don't really have anything on it right now. I like the way it fits in my hand, super tiny.
Yeah.
I mean, I carry a Glock 19 probably 98% of the time I'm carrying.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's small. It's nice.
You get a lot. Is there a lot of holsters? People ask for a lot of Hellcat holsters.
Yeah, so
I know it sparked up for a minute.
It sparked up for sure. We're making the mold right now for it. It's actually gone through 4 renditions, 4 revisions on it. So you're just trying to get it perfect every time. It's just kind of one of those things that if it's not, I keep doing it. So
figure it out.
Should be good this time around, But if it's not, I'll do another one. But I can't wait to shoot it. I just got to find some ammo. I'm going to start running some freaking airsoft over through it. I put a CO2 cartridge in and start shooting.
Running sim rounds.
Yeah,
in the
just sim rounds, because that's like one of those things. I'm excited to try it though. I mean, we'll see.
Do you have a bunch of different holsters for your everyday carry, like to match your outfits?
I was thinking about that yesterday when I was leaving the house. I was like, all right, so what am I going to carry today, or what am I going to make myself today? Because I switch like if I want to do I'll do a red holster today, or I want to do a white holster, or this. But yeah, I have like a bunch laying around. I just have tons. I kind of have like a scheme of white and black right now that I have, but that'll probably change because I got really into like black multicam.
Yeah.
So I started carrying those. But nobody. It's so funny because it's like one of those things that nobody ever sees.
Yeah.
You're
No, inside the waistband.
Yeah.
It's like you're accessorizing. Like concealed accessories.
The holster has to match the shoes.
100%. Like
no one's going to see the holster.
I want it to match my socks. Yeah.
Livio's laughing, but his underwear and socks typically match.
When I'm if I'm wearing dress shoes and shit, yeah.
Yeah, you got to match them up.
I got some Jaws socks that match my Jaws chonies.
Donut
I got some
ones.
donut.
You got some donuts out? You got donut chonies?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
No,
I love donuts,
he matches for real. If he could have a donut holster.
We can make it happen. You want a donut holster to match those chonies? I got you covered.
Yeah, right?
That's funny.
Yeah, we get a lot of graphics is a big thing. Like we started customizing like people's stuff and what they want. So we started doing like some really cool prints. Actually, I made my own like exclusive print. Kind of looks like the Louis Vuitton, but I didn't want like Louis Vuitton to piss them off. So I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna make the 2A version of Louis Vuitton. And it's actually really, really cool. I spend a lot of time on it, but it's just one of those things. I'm like, well, that's cool. That's another thing I went ADD on. I was like, I got to do this, this, and this. And it took me 6 hours to design it up. So I was like, okay, cool. And I sold like 2.
Oh well,
It made you happy.
Yeah, I was like, hey, whatever. I'm gonna turn it into a bag, and then everyone's gonna want my damn bag. I don't care.
yeah.
Right. Oh yeah.
It turned into a belt. Yeah,
I think it'll be cool once SHOT Show gets back open and people actually see it.
I know. Yeah,
Give it another year, huh?
Because Instagram's algorithm is just hiding all of us.
Oh yeah, they hate us. They just
every
like
one of us.
they're just really.
And it's like I said, like I think we talked about it last time. Is the way I see where we're standing, like we're all about people exercising their Second Amendment rights. We're all about that, and obviously there's I've met people that I wouldn't tell them like, hey, you should have a gun. Like I've met people like that.
You're like,
But at the same time,
here's some bear spray.
Even for somebody that doesn't like guns and doesn't agree with, civilians with ARs or whatever it is, like I think our message should be important for everybody to want to have pushed out there.
Yeah.
Last time we compared it to like when I was in high school, they were, you had. I get whatever side was trying to push the idea of putting condoms in high school because they knew the kids were going to be having sex.
Yeah.
Well, but then you have all these people that are just like, you're promoting trying to get these kids to have sex. Like, no, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
They're going to do
100%.
it. Now, but they're too scared to go to the store and buy the shit. So now we're making the situation that's going to happen safe.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're now the side that was pushing that is a side that can't see what it is that we're trying to do. We're trying to make something that's going to happen. It's there. It's not going anywhere. We're trying to make that safer.
There was an abundance of people that was texting me and messaging me, but like, okay, the people I never thought would ever we need a gun.
Trying to get a gun. Yeah.
Get a gun. Yep. They're like, what should I get? What do I need to get? Because they understand like, okay, well, if the shit goes as bad as we don't want it to, but it may. They need to protect themselves. They need to protect their household.
And that's right. People, it's when the shit hits the fan and when people think the shit's hitting the fan, they go in the grocery store and it's empty and they start realizing like, oh shit, nobody's coming to fucking save you. It's up to you to keep your household safe, man. There's not, if it ever comes to that, to where there's a rip in the social fabric and shit's hitting the fan, it's up to you, man. And all those times that you voted against people being able to protect themselves, it's gonna bite you in the ass in that moment.
I was reading like some states, man. Some states, it's ridiculous what they want you to do before you ever have to use lethal force. And it's like I don't know. I remember they want you to like if there's a window on the second floor and somebody's in your house gonna hurt you, cause you imminent harm, you have to jump out that window and bail. Like they don't want you to save yourself or your family or anything. It's ridiculous. Like. It's nuts to me.
And that's usually in places that have the highest gun crime.
100%.
The highest rates of gun crime. They usually have the strictest gun control. I mean, if you look at our friends that are from the UK, they have a standing joke that goes around because even if you have a license to own a gun, you have to keep and I might be mixing up my Australian friends with my UK friends, but you have to keep the firearm itself locked up in one safe and the ammo is locked up in a completely separate safe.
I think it's the same.
And so if you have like if somebody breaks into your house and they have a knife and they're downstairs and you're upstairs and you get the time and you actually can have the time to put all that shit together.
Yeah.
If they're not actually engaging you with that knife at that moment, you shooting them puts you in jail.
Yep.
So there's a joke that like our friends tell this joke. They're like, yeah, man, if somebody breaks in your house and you don't have biscuits and milk laid out for them, you probably get a ticket.
Screw that, man. That's asinine to me, dude. I'm like, no way.
But this is the same thing as we talked about before. It's just it's like a culture shock for some people that you have the older guys that come in from the UK, and I mean older. They remember when it wasn't as strict as what it is, and then they're not blown away by us, when we're at work, walking around with guns on our hips and doing what we're doing when we were working at the range. But it's mostly like our generation and younger that are like, they tell us all the time, like, I can't believe you guys can just walk around with guns on your hip. Like, you can go out in public like this. And it's funny to remind them, like, yeah, well, this is how I grew up. Yeah. I grew up where there was a gun around. I always knew where the gun was. You grow up with that knowledge of knowing that that's there. It's not that crazy to you. Yeah. And then it's easy to remind them, like, what we think is crazy is that you have to show ID and prove that you're 18 to buy plastic cutlery because there's a fucking knife in it.
Yeah.
And most of them can even admit to like,
just a bunch of shivs walking around the youth. Yeah, everyone's with the shiv. Like, yo, we're like showing off our Gucci Glocks. They're like, yo, check out this plastic fork I got. I turned it into something really, I spray painted it gold.
I rubbed it on the wall and sharp as shit.
Yeah. Check it out. Look at my holster for it. I got it from Sin City, UK.
But then
Right.
they probably lose their shit when they get ID'd to buy Tide Pods.
Oh my
yeah,
god.
man.
Yeah.
But you know what, man, and that's where the slippery slope comes in, dude. And as much as people don't like to talk about the slippery slope, or they like to laugh about it's a conspiracy theory, and you know, slippery slope is real, man. And when you just look at how the UK lost their gun rights and how gun control
Well, look at Australia.
became what it is. Yeah,
Australia had the big buyback, right? It was like 1980s that they had the huge.
Yeah, and I've said this before, but
Yeah.
Australia is easier because unlike us in Canada, and like we were founded on guns, man. This country was started on guns and on the Second Amendment.
100%.
And there's a reason the Second Amendment is the Second Amendment. Like the First Amendment is the First Amendment, the Second Amendment is the Second Amendment. I mean that's second to, you know, free speech, man.
Yeah.
And Australia wasn't that. You know, Australia was started as something far less than that.
Yeah.
And it didn't take it wasn't based on a revolution with guns, you know, and fighting to get their guns back to fight a revolution. So it's a little easier to they weren't a gun culture to begin with, is what I'm getting at.
Well, fuck that. They got great whites. They got snakes. They want to kill you. Got some big ass spiders. Everything wants to kill you in
Fucking
Australia.
warhogs,
That
dude.
was my exact argument
Yeah.
when we had this conversation. Is
Yeah.
everything there is trying to kill you.
Kangaroos are
Why
mean as
would you
shit.
not want a gun?
right. Kangaroos box like fucking
Yeah, they'll beat your ass, dude. 100%, dude. Those like, I would never live out there and be like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Like,
Yeah.
I hate all those things put together.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Well, fuck, man, it's been good having you on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much
I
for
appreciate
having me.
you coming on. Hell yeah.
You know,
And we had some good stuff that we talked about. We just kind of winged it on this one, man, and I think it turned out pretty good.
that was cool,
think
man.
so, too.
Definitely got some coverage. You know, I really enjoyed coming over here and doing this with you guys. You know,
Oh man,
for anybody listening, you can, you know, go to sincityconcealment.com, or there's 3 shops in town right now that carry my stuff: Precision Armory, Gun Shop Las Vegas, and Ventura Munitions. All great shops. Check them out. See my stuff in there. You know, if you ever want to get in contact with me, shoot me an email. You know, you can write me on Instagram. You know, appreciate everybody.
Sin City Concealment, man.
In Sin City Concealment, that's my handle. That's what people know me as. So I don't have a name anymore. It's just, hey, Sin City. Yeah, that's me.
There you
And
go.
as for Armed with Knowledge, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification.
And as always,
Run your drills, not your
mouth.
mouth.
There you go.